Hey everyone, I'm Latoya from the Profit Room. I have Mia with me, and we're going to bring to you something special today, how to use VWAP, which is known as the volume weighted average price. And we're going to go through two stocks today, maybe a little more, all depends on time. But the two stocks will be GME as well as BILL. Both of these trades were traded live in the day trading room over at the Profit Room. The first one we'll go through is GME. And I'm going to credit this one to Mia definitely because she wrote in the room where she has her alert set ready to go off on that. So what I'm going to have Mia do is share her screen with Game and kind of like walk us through that. And then I'll share my screen with Game, the same stock, and show you the rationale on why I decided to enter the trade as well.
All right. How about now?
Perfect. Yep, I can see it.
All right, I'm gonna blow this up to kind of talk to it. All right, so we're gonna ignore my first trade. So although that did tell me that it was in play. So I actually was already watching GME because I had taken a trade on it earlier when I saw that it was moving. But that trade really didn't play out and I didn't expect it to. So I really kind of got out of it fairly quick, but I continued to leave the chart up. So what I was looking for in this particular movement is I was looking for it to actually come back and reclaim VWAP. And when I talk about it reclaiming VWAP, I want to know that it reclaimed it, it had some volume, and it was able to stay above VWAP. I almost jumped in here, but I was actually in a couple of other trades, and I still am always a little bit hesitant on GME because of the volatility. So sure enough, it popped back under VWAP. So this is about the time that I alerted the room I was going to leave. And I was, unless I got an alert on GME. And that's exactly what happened. I had an alert set about right here because what I was looking for is I was looking for it to reclaim VWAP, which would have been about, which would have been about 200. Okay, about right here. So anything over 200, I was definitely getting interested. It popped up a little bit, but not with any real volume. Red candle was the next candle. So I definitely wasn't convinced. And then it popped up again. And I actually executed the order here, but it didn't, or actually put in the order here, but it didn't execute until the next candle, as you'll see here. Whenever I'm doing this, because of the way that it had been playing with VWAP over and above, I usually have a fairly tight stop on it. Okay, it just hit above my stop, stopping me out when it dipped back down, but then it actually moved the way I expected it to move. So this is what I'm looking at here. If you can see that, Latoya.
Yep, I can see it perfectly. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to share my screen if possible. And let's see here. So with my screen, and I'm going to walk through a similar process, but I'm going to do it without VWAP. As I stated to Mia before, I don't generally have VWAP on my chart. Once again, VWAP stands for the volume weighted average price. And what a lot of traders use it for is basically reclaim. It can act as a support. Would you agree? It can act as a support level because that's the
yes. Yes, basically, if it's above VWAP, then it's going to be bullish. If it's below VWAP, then that tells me that it's bearish. So, and when it reclaims VWAP, that's my indication that it may be reversing.
Exactly. So just look at this chart here. Same 1 minute setup as you have. One thing you'll notice a little bit different is that I have my levels out on my screen already in advance. Besides the levels help me realize, okay, if a stock in particular is holding a particular support, will it still be in play? And in Game, as we can see here, held a particular support level. Now, the VWAP, I can only imagine just looking at this would flirt somewhere right around here. I am going to add it to screen. When you mentioned your alert was set, this is the part where I noticed we're just using a 1 minute time frame where price had the consolidation. Remember I mentioned that? I was like, oh, price is consolidating, holding this particular area, and it was all fair game from there. So this level was right around the like 199.
Yep.
You mentioned the marker above 200 was key. Me, I always prefer to take a breakout entry. There are some traders, they will take the retest. And this stock, this is your retest right here before it bounced back up, because this is where it went up, tap support, came up, failure, retest, breakout. This has to be the VWAP because that's the VWAP breakout because it reclaimed over here where it was rejecting. So just look at this before, then we naturally, I wrote it up to the next prior resistant level, leaving about $7 a share on the table. But it was all good. This is a day I made about over 12 grand on GME alone. So it's still a good trending high momentum stock. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to show everyone how to add the VWAP. So let's just go to edit my studies. There is VWAP. So no matter what platform, Mia just showed you on TradingView, and I'm going to have her go back on TradingView so she can go over it again. This is how I would add VWAP. I'm going to double click it. We have these standard numbers here. I don't touch any of that. Upper band, I don't want to see, so I
Right.
take off the plots. Lower bands, I do not want to see, so I take off these plots as well. The only thing left is my VWAP, which will give me this bright color purple. Okay, I'm gonna apply it, and here we go. As we see right here, this is the VWAP and this is the VWAP break. And two ways of looking at the same trade in order to get the same result. All right. BILL, you want to go through that one? Because this one happened to be Friday. This was a classic trade. Mia's gonna go through this trade because she actually took it off the VWAP. I did not. I traded other things, but I caught the tail end to a run up into BILL, which provided, it was like $12, $13 a share. It was still great movement, but I'm going to show you exactly what I was looking at, not VWAP related. I'm just looking at where we held this many times before it started to push and run into a huge extension. That was beautiful. I'm gonna let you share yours so we can see exactly
All right.
who created this VWAP move and got all of that thing going.
All right. Well, I can't take credit for it because if you hadn't alerted it, I wouldn't have even been paying attention to it. I was like, what's Bill?
Yeah, we're in the pre-market preparation. One thing we like, I know that you love blue sky stocks, right?
I love a blue sky trade.
Once it makes a new high, is literally good to go. So I start my screen.
Yeah, so as soon as I saw it was a blue sky trade, immediately went up on my charts because that is definitely one of my favorite setups. Because here's the thing with I trade small caps quite a bit, but this is one of the times where a large cap behaves like a small cap, is whenever there is a blue sky opportunity. So that's why I like these type trades. All right. So got the profit room alert. And I was like, what's Latoya talking about? What's Bill? So I went and I took a look, and sure enough, I could see it was definitely a gap play. I looked at earnings, and here's the thing about earnings. I found that especially with the blue sky trade, you would think that it would continue to go up, but that's not always the case. And so what I was looking for after open is I need some type of confirmation of that move before I'll enter the trade. So that's where for me VWAP came in, and that I let it come down. Okay, I'm not going to take it here because there was the potential that it could gap to where it closed the previous day, at least the first day after earnings. That is definitely a huge risk. So I wanted to let it show itself. So I waited until it actually reclaimed VWAP, which is about right here. So I got in at about 246 and wrote it all, and it never looked back. This was actually an instance where I actually took a trade based on VWAP on the same stock at 3 different points during the day. So I'm going to drag it over to the first trade. So basically this had been giving some movement early on, but the first trade off of VWAP, you can clearly see was right here. Okay. So I basically held on to this trade until about maybe the 1026 mark. So that was the first move. And then I could clearly see that it was struggling. And at this point, because of the type of stock it is, it's more high risk. I really don't give it a chance. As soon as I see the first sign of real resistance, then I'll go ahead and exit the trade. So that was the first trade on it. So basically it did continue to go down, but you'll see that it actually hits VWAP again and starts playing around at this level. And I really didn't trust it here. Because the volume had kind of tapered off, but I did still feel like because it never did fall below VWAP again, that there was still some strength. So I actually got into it again around here and actually took it up again. And that trade ended up being a great trade. So I thought I was pretty much done with that stock during the day. But I still have my charts up, which I normally, to keep myself from trading all day, maybe it's being a new trader and my obsessive personality, but I have to actually shut my system down if I don't want to see a new trade. So unfortunately, it was still up and I'm watching it into the afternoon and looking at it. And when I saw it reclaim VWAP, I was like, wait a minute, let me go ahead and take this trade and see what happens. So I took the trade here and it actually did exactly what it had done before. It went right back up to 20. So basically the same trade off of VWAP I took 3 times that day.
That's
money.
That's super. And this will conclude our VWAP lesson. Or anyone, be safe, take care.